Gonna be a bunch of odds and ends. VCV odds and ends. I don't really have a plan. In fact, it's sometimes you just like get kind of like generally just satisfied with everything you end up doing, and you're like start a bunch of things and then just don't even bother to save them. I'm kind of in that mood right now. Uh, Post Thanksgiving stupor, maybe I don't know. But some things I've done enough I can almost do them in my sleep. So I wasn't even planning on starting with a kick. I was gonna do hi hats first, but we've got the kick here. Uh, this is this is enough for your basic kick, but an EQ and a compressor is also nice. But so Shape Master, uh, to do a pitch envelope, which is kind of like mm, something for the kick. You watch a couple Kick 2 tutorials and you can kind of get an idea from what they do and see if you can translate it into this. The amplitude is more like this sort of a shape, um, with a little bit of yeah. And the important thing was I should have started. I didn't start out right here. Let's start over. Um, First thing you need to do is kind of decide on your tempo. Uh, if you're into that sort of thing, I've got 140 here, so I'll just I think I'm gonna slow it down. That way I don't get too frantic. Let's do 128. That's pretty slow. Uh, but so the math is um, you got 60 seconds in a minute, and we're doing 128 beats per minute. So we want the milliseconds for an eighth note ish or a quarter note. Um, let's just do an eighth note though. So if we did 60 divided by 128, that'd be a quarter note. It's 469 milliseconds, and then divided by 2, we'd say 60 divided by 128 divided by 2. 234 milliseconds is going to be what we want. And so you set your length, and you got to set change trigger mode to trigger. And so you don't have to do that 3 times. You can copy this. So I'm going to end up with that edited curve on these other channels, but that's okay. So paste it again, and now I need to delete these points. So this third channel is going to be a sync trigger, and like it. I guess the reason for this, I just sort of copying off the tutorial from the community forum because they did it, and it makes some sense to have it all together. But if you use like a sample delay, you could probably just send the gate that say we're going to trigger our pitch envelope and our amplitude envelope, and since these have this shape master is going to add a we got a 1 sample delay here and a 1 sample delay coming out, so that's a 2 sample delay. So if you add a 2 sample delay here, just for an example, um, I think it's 2 samples. I checked it one time on a scope, and it looks like this would be equivalent of taking like take the gate here, delay it, and then use that to sync your oscillator, or we'll just forget about that, or use this trigger. So we trigger this and it comes out here, and we sync the oscillator with that. Same thing. It's up to you. But so here's our pitch envelope. It comes out here, and we're going to use that on the FM. adjust this for the amount of clickiness. Like turning it down a little bit is more I don't know, it seems more techno-y or housey, but this is the farther you turn it up, the more it's like a psytrance kick. And then this VCO has a built-in VCA, so we got the level input here. If your VCO doesn't, you can just use there's a VCA here, and it comes out here. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take this and run it to the level. So let's make this be more like the proper shape. It's gonna be not straight up and down here. That is a really sharp attack. So take this back a little bit, and then you scoop this down here. So some people call it a fishtail shape. Some people call it a neck. I don't know. Whatever sounds right. And it's so you got your the thump and the transient, and then this little part here. It's kind of like EQ for some frequencies that you might not want, but definitely play with adjusting all of this, like more of this back, like more of this, less of this. So I'm gonna set the, let me get this guy set up so that it's the right octave, and the level on this VCO unit, you need to turn the level so it's down, and then use this knob, tell it we want to use the signal to do the level. So that should be pretty close. I'm going to use 16th notes here to have 4 on the floor, and tell the right output to be working. Okay, so pretty basic. I guess I could just use this. This VCO unit has a little wave shaper here. So you got that, and if you look, you might want to look on a scope, or luckily I'm not hearing the problem that happens sometimes with this sharp drop off. But if you hear that, like any abrupt changes can be a click. So if you hear clicking, it's usually here, or I'm not hearing anything too bad right now. Let's we can't, this thing doesn't let you zoom in. This is about as close as you can get. So you can hear how the click gets sharp like that. That's why you back this off a little bit. Play around with this. You can also use the curve. And some people would take a noise generator. I'm just going to use VCV's built-in one, and a very short envelope like the MSM, the ASR, and a VCA. Wait, you know what? I could just do it right here. We'll make another, let's copy this and put another channel and get a mix. Sometimes I just want a 2-channel mixer, but I don't know. I guess I'll just use this. No, I need it to have DCA. Alright, so let's take the output into here on channel 1, and then we'll take this noise, might try red noise. Oh, we gotta trigger it. Okay, red, pink, white, black. Let's turn it way down. So there's that. To add a little noise to a kick. Not so sure I like it, but I can just turn it down. And so what about? Okay, there's Wave Shaper. We have I believe the example used Debriatus. I never used Debriatus much, but so we can just turn the saturate up just a little bit. That's one thing you can do. There's also the Surge Wave Shaper, where you can experiment with a lot of different algorithms. Like, well, we've got the soft saturator, kind of the same effect. But we also have a high and low cut here. When I first started, I was just making this. I would just put this straight up and down and then cut it off here. And then I learned that you don't really have to use an EQ if you just back this off like that. And another thing you can do is just not start at 10 volts. We're on a range of 0 to 10 here. And if you wanted to be super scientific about it, I guess you'd figure out what, like exactly how far up you wanted to go. So like more like that. I didn't even mess with this part here. So there's so much variation just by moving the points a little bit, and whether or not, like, even if you have a curve or not. Let's see what it's like with more of this neck. Alright, so fiddling around with the kick endlessly before you have a bass can be pointless because it's about how they go together. I should maybe bust out the two last things. A compressor before the compressor and EQ. Try to couple. So this guy's pretty good for just notching a specific frequency, and this guy is pretty good. It's called low, mid, high EQ from Bark, or EQ from SV Modular. The Bog Audio EQ is a little weird. There's also this big, huge EQ. It's pretty good too. Lets you adjust the crossover, and it's fairly clean. So I'm just gonna do the mud EQ here. Let's go through there. Alright, and then a compressor. Oh. So you can kind of like turn the threshold down till you see a little movement here, and then turn the ratio back up. It gets more of the tail. It brings the tail out, especially on longer kicks. If I turn this off, oh, you hear that click? See, it went away. That's why well, that's okay. Okay, so that's a full 8th note right there, and this is a 16th note. And turning the length up for, like depending on the style of kick you want, you might want to turn the length up. But yeah, it's like I guess it's a matter of preference. So that's I'm just gonna kind of leave that as it is. Maybe we'll turn the noise back up a little. And play with the bass. And this one's where I'm never satisfied. Like, once you add other stuff, it kind of covers over the it blends. But so we're gonna use another VCO unit because it has phase. Put it in sawtooth mode, and this level here. So like, if you look on a scope here, let's put it on like really low. So I got the level up. That's a saw. Let's see if I can. Let's sync it and use the sync also on the scope. So like oh, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it straight. Okay, so saw. It's like steep down, slope up, or ramp, and they have two different sounds. Play around with that. Like sometimes you be messing with it and you're like, oh, I can't get it, and then it's like, oh, it's the other one. They're both good. There's not a right or a wrong one, but yeah. So we're gonna set the level to 0, and then use this, and so you either turn this knob one way or the other. So there's our level. Our octave is good. We're not going to use FM or anything. We will adjust the phase, and maybe let's put the scope over here. So envelopes for this. After I tried a couple, I decided this is my favorite envelope for this because you get shape on the decay, and it's pretty steep when you turn it. When you turn the attack down, it's a very steep attack. So I'm going to have a sharp attack, and then the default settings are fine here. Another one for the cutoff, and that one I'm going to take the sustain down, but otherwise it's fine. And I will probably pull the shape down a little. But so, hey, let's make them colored nicely. Alright, so this one goes here. Trigger it so you can now see that it's going like that, and the amount of your body would be the sustain here, and then a cutoff of all the filters. There's so many of them, and they all sound different, but I like Sugar Mice for this because it's got it. You don't really want resonance here, and this one doesn't offer you that. It's just an 18 decibel per octave low pass. So let's take this gate here and use it on this. So we'll take our out to the filter and then to the mixer. And turn off the notes we don't want. So you can start. You know what? I don't know about that noise. Big difference. Yeah, like it's small, but I don't need that noise. So let's have a scope here on the envelope. Let's watch, like, get a little view on what's going on here. Trigger that. So watch the decay shape. And just ignore that. Let's see if we can put it where we don't have to watch it. Alright, so alright, so another thing you want to do up here, and I'm going to kind of put this with the kick, is we can duck the bass under the kick manually. Like, instead of using an envelope follower based off the sound of the kick, just take the trigger you're using for the kick and trigger this envelope. The MSM ADSR has an inverted output that's already in the right range. So you see this little triangle jumping up and down now. And we take the attack down. Oh good, it's going to be sunny tomorrow. So you can definitely hear what's going on here. Alright, so there's sometimes I like this one. It's like, if you want, okay, the compressor. There's even more variations with this parametric EQ 6 or 14, but 14 is a little weird. Not used as an EQ, but as an all pass. So I'm going to use an offset knob here to control this. We'll plug the offset into FCV, and it shifts all the bands around. And we'll go before or after the filter is slightly different sound, but so I prefer before, because the filter is where you get your click, and if you do it after the filter, you kind of smear the click around a little bit. So turn this FCV knob up and listen to the sound of moving the bands. And also changing the bandwidth. The farther up, the more it gets kind of muffled until you turn it all the way up. It comes back. But there's going to be phase cancellation in between each of these bands, because it's like it's a band pass, and then they all get recombined, and all the places that the waveform recombines, there's going to be phase issues. So you're just using this knob to put them different places until it sounds cool. Alright, and so we'll take the bandwidth down the other way, and it sounds like a vocoder kind of. And if that's not enough variation, one more thing, let's use the cubic module. So you got this, it's the same thing you can do with this decay shape, but you can even like accentuate it more. So we're looking at the signal that's coming out of the cutoff envelope, and we'll also run that through cubic and look at it. And you don't see anything until you turn this up. But you see how it's much sharper? Like when I turn it up to where it's about the same height, but it's much steeper. We've also got this and this. So it's gonna move the filter a lot farther faster. We'll go take this out and put this there. So we still get our click, but it's Okay, so I should stop fiddling with that. It's kind of all messed up right now. Let's just let's go ahead and add a compressor just for fun. Usually compressor goes last in the chain, or a compressor then a limiter. This thing also has limiter mode. So you're just kind of taking the attack down and then leveling it out, sort of. Okay, so there's some inspiration for kick and bass. Now, for like drums and stuff, I mean, I usually like samples that just they sound better, but there's Noise Plethora, which has finally, it's just got an update that kind of fixes some things. I think, and Percall, I hope it's got the update. I haven't tried it, but so we'll put some triggers in here. We'll have a snare on the 2 and the 4, and then some offbeat hi-hats. And we'll take that over here. One for there. One for eeny meeny. I'm gonna go there. And you either, I want to run these to 2 different mixer channels, so I'm not going to come out the number 4 output, but that's where the mix down is. So otherwise I want, here's my snare, and here's my hi-hat, and so now we run some noise in and play around with the different programs. So snare, I don't know. Let's try. this button knob to switch programs. The little dot moves, and then you roll it, or you click and hold to go into bank select mode. And oh no, they still have... Did you see that? Well, the bank is mostly fixed. I mean, the bug. Okay, so we also have the macro oscillator. If that's not floating your boat, there's the let's have two of them. One for the snare, one for the hi-hat, and we'll try this other option. So you have two outputs. Try them, they're different, or mix them. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. Let's get a mix. Have two of them. That way it's easier to hear, and they kind of sound good together. So here's that, and here's that. And we'll go to the mixer. And we'll mute. And so things we could do with the triggers besides just like Sequencing is cool. You can also use a clock like a instead of a sequencer, using a Euclidean clock. So I'll take this and hook it up to the 16th notes. And also it needs to be synced, so it doesn't get out of sync and play all the wrong ones. Because I want to turn this so that's going to be a bit fast. We'll put this back over. That's my... Anyway. Oh, kind of... might as well point this little tip out for those who haven't discovered stroke. I can use my space bar. I've got you just kind of like right click and do learn and press the button. So I've got Alt space to reset and space to start and stop, and that's pretty handy. All right, so back to where we were. Take this to 8. Shift it over. Need to sync. Oh wait, no, not 8. Maybe I was thinking of... No, it's 8. Oh, did I not... I didn't All right. So a couple more rhythm things before I think about melody and harmony and all that fun stuff. So I like to use push button, sample and hold. Two of them. LFO, the little LFO. Search for LLF. The Bog Audio little LFO. Two of them. So when I push the button, I get two random values to control the speed of these LFOs. And then use the comparator from Machba, the sample and hold, holda, and an and, or not, but I mean an and gets you more notes, or like we can listen with and without. So let's just do these, instead of these, I'm triggering these hi-hat things there. I'll use this setup. And we plug, gonna want to reset the LFOs, but I'll leave them blank for now. So the LFOs, you can just do it with one LFO. You don't need, like, this is just comparing with 0 because it's like we have a greater than, A is less than B or A is greater than B. So I can say, put that in the input here, and then we just get this thing that goes blanks like that. But if I plug the other LFO in, you get a pattern to the blink. And let's randomize this a little bit, a couple times. What do we have here? Plus or minus 1 volt, so maybe 2 volts. More variation. I'm not sure. I haven't checked, but I think 1 volt is kind of like doubling the LFO speed, maybe. All right, so here's our, see that blinking pattern. So we would sample it every, how often do you want to sample it? Let's say 16th notes, and then put that in an input, and then use the same or different. This is how fast ultimately you want it to like repeat. So then this will be my hi-hat trigger now, and if I'm not going to use this for snare. I could just take both of the noise in the first. We'll use this instead. Trigger. We can do. Well, I'm just going to move my output to the output 4. So that way I can use all 4 of these if I decide. They'll just all come out that output. per each one of these. So if we want a bunch to cycle through, we need a bunch of a bunch. So I'm gonna use the shift register from Venom, and I can do away with all that. And we're actually gonna get rid of this too. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 and 8 if I want to do those. So the push from Venom, push 5. You can right click either the whole thing for all the buttons or just one button. So I'm going to make 16. I'm just going to use the top button. So this button is polyphonic, and I'll just hook it up to 8 of these. Well, I don't really need 8. I think I'm going to just do, what's that, 7. Why not? Here we go. Okay, so this is the same deal. P16S from Doc B. We got to hook it up to, here's some 16th notes for the clock. And I'm going to duplicate that, Control Shift D to duplicate with the cable. And then each one of these will be my values. And so now I have to push the button to get, see, they're just full of zeros right now, but when I push this, now we have a bunch of random values here to step through. So we'll go here, 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 here. And it repeats. The only thing about this push 5 is there's no way to run a trigger in. So you have to manually push it. And I like to use like a divided clock to just do that part, like say every 64 bars or something. Alright, so I don't know. So now we've got this kind of weird random hi-hat thing going on. With a bunch of stuff here. And we've been in C the whole time. Next, maybe think about, just ignore this for now. This is just my template. I like a quantizer sitting around. So I'm going to plug in this key into the kick and the bass. And make tracer so I can see what is pushed. It's kind of a good idea to do that first, because now everything stop it so the gate's not stuck. Right, yeah, so that's what I like to do is mess around with, just obsess over details and experiment. Um, Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I wouldn't say this is working out or not right now. Because next thing would be like, hook up my random arpeggio melody thinger. It's a big contraption, and like sometimes it just works better to use like Progress or a melody generator or strings or your own. There's lots of ways to make chords. Like strings, for example, has a lot of nice chord voicings with names. So if you know what you're doing and you know what chords you want, then do that. But I like random. So so here we go with a push button again. And it's gonna be, let's come down here. This takes a bit of explaining. And I think I'm gonna start with what inspired it. It's another P16, the P16A. And we have like its little baby brother, this thing. And so the little one, you have offset and size. We don't have length, so it's always going to be 16. The P16A, you have length, so you can say I just want like 4 things or 16 things. And size is like the size of a step or the subdivision. So it's like these are not notes like octave. It's not like C, C sharp, D. It's just random values. So you look on the meter, okay, so it's just evenly spaced, and you can see they get large really quick. So we need the other kind of meter. Multivoltimetra. So this will show it better. So it just the size, like actually the larger the size, the smaller the step. So I don't know what that how to think about that or say exactly what it's doing, but so the thing to pay attention to here is that some of the sizes actually are the same note, or just 2 notes, like 0, 25, 50, 75, 0, 25, 50, 75. So you can kind of disregard the before the decimal place, because that's like the octave. So this goes out of hearing pretty quickly, and it's only these. There's 4 notes, and it just repeats at different octaves. But other ones, like the default one, you can look on the little quantizer. The VCV quantizer is a good way to look at what's going on. This one, because it'll highlight if that note is there. So this one is missing a few notes, but that's not bad. So yeah, like see, you can see some of them are just a few notes. Some of them get all the notes, but they're all arranged differently. So here's one with only 3 notes: 0, 66, 33, and it repeats. So it's like, and then you've got this pattern thing, which just rearranges them, and it looks kind of cool. But and you can type your own, you can click your own if you want. But so picking a random pattern, picking a size with some notes, And quantizing it, of course, to something, you have to quantize it, and you have to uh, keep it from getting out of the range. So the modulo, we have math, we have several modules to do this. I guess there's first I tried the one called modulo is actually um I guess it's more, maybe it makes musical sense, but it's not mathematically the same. It's, I don't know, it's unexpected result. Like I would assume that modulo does what this math module does, and this modulo module includes whatever, like, so you have the range, so you have like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's octaves. It includes the module, I don't know, so you're gonna wrap right before one. So you're never gonna, if you're mathematically modulating something with one, you're never gonna get one, because that would just wrap back to zero. So this modulo module includes the one, and it wraps right after it. So you get an octave plus one note with this, and that might be what you want. I just wanted to point that out, that um, the math module is mathematically modulating, and then the modulo module is musically maybe more. It's a good module, but I just don't tend to use it because you know sometimes I just want to do math. And the other, if you really, really, really want to do a lot of math, this one called AO 101 from Submarine has pretty much all the math functions you could need. You've got conditionals, rounding, all the other stuff. You got some trigonometry, and they have modulo and modulus, which is like throw out the, like, I think, what is it? Modulus just gives you the, one of them gives you the remainder, one of them gives you the module. I don't know what the name of the math thing is. I'm not up on the terminology, but yeah, the one you want is modulo x mod something. So you're either x mod y or x mod c. So if I just do x mod c and then type a 1, that's a good way. But it's, the AO1 is not, AO101 is not polyphonic. If you need to do it polyphonic, you need the math. So this is polyphonic here. If I wanted to do it to the CV output, but the other output is just mono. So I can take this AO101 x mod c, where c is 1, and I made that a preset because I do that so much. And so what we had originally here was 3.33, and then now we're just gonna get the 0.33, and that way, whatever we run through the quantizer will just be in a nice range of notes, not too high. And so let me see here. What am I doing? All right, so I'm demonstrating how this started, I guess. So we had the range thing. Like when we first looked at it on the other meter, the graphic meter showed that this is just a range of evenly spaced values. Or, well, what do we got? Why am I? It's not a range of evenly spaced values. Because I'm at a different pattern. So the pattern rearranges them, but by default it's just ascending like that. So we also have some other modules that do that. Range. This is called voltage range from Sparkette stuff. And then we have Golly Penerator. And then we have one called ranges from CV Funk. So the CV Funk one, they're individual outputs. You would have to merge it, and you only get 13 of them, so it's not really the same. But so channels, same deal. You have a from and a to, and a number of channels. Golly Penerator. You also get some shapes. So, offset, scale, and a mode that has some different things like, I don't know what that's called, hump, or sinus, which would be running everything through the sine wave. And, yeah. So lots of different ways to take a range of values, or get a range of values, and then, like I said, you want to modulate them with one of the math modules that does modulo. And you want to quantize them, and then you can step through them with one of these, like this. Either the P16 or the Ouroboros. Let's use Ouroboros this time and have a picture. So, so if I take, let me get rid of that, and so this guy steps here with this clock, but I'm going to use the one with, okay, so I want to get them kind of unhooked, sitting out of the way, and I don't need that right now. So I'll take the ranges, and oh, not that one, this one. So if I need to use this math module and I want to do polyphonic, I need unison and like an offset or something. Or there are other modules, but just some way to get a, we're going to pick a value here. So I'm just going to right click and type 1, and then make it polyphonic. So a bunch of ones, and then we'll take our, this is our range of voltages into the A on math. We have 16 going in A, so we need 16 going in B. Come out the modulo output, and now we quantize. We're hitting every note here, looks like, but if you move this, you can see at certain spots you get just like a few notes. And then we can step through it with this. So here's our notes going in, and then like if I turn this up, you can see them. There's the full range, but then when the modulo wraps them back around. So alright, so let's take the clock and do like how about every bar for now? That's going to go through kind of fast, but alright, so we also have the quantizer just doing chromatic, so I could pick a scale like major, or what is that? How about minor, and then have something like a what synth? I'm just gonna do one that has a built-in VCO. So Terraform for now. With Terraform, if you use the VCO, click and hold this button right here in the middle between attack and decay. Turn it on. And then you use this input right here, envelope gate. You have two of them, either one. So there's where you can send a gate. So we'll do the clock, or no, I'll just do quarter notes triggering this, and then we'll send the, we got whole notes doing that. So put the note in here, and then maybe a little bit of delay just to make it sound nice. Del, just the VCV delay. I'll take that, go in here. So if I have quarter notes, where's my, this is my quarter notes master clock. It's quarter notes. So I'm gonna copy the cable to the delay clock. So now it's tempo based, and we'll listen and see what we got. Maybe some reverb too. Okay, so this quantizer is being Okay, we'll pretend for a minute that we like that, which I don't. But like, so here's a little thing you can do, like, take an LFO, take a sample and hold, and take the octave module. Let's reset the LFO occasionally so that it's not always just random. And so I'm using eighth notes here to trigger this, so I'm going to use eighth notes on my sample and hold trigger. I'm going to put either the sign or the square, or, well, it doesn't matter, but let's just do, in this case, square. For octaves, square is the only one that really matters. And then you just turn the scale down to around 12 or less, like somewhere in this neighborhood. So you're scaling this LFO and then moving it a little bit up, like say like a third of a volt up, offset up, and then so it's a small LFO just a little bit above 0, and so the output is the octave thing, and so we'll take that note through here before we go into there, and then it'll add some octave jumps for a little bit of rhythmic variation. LFO, sample and hold, octave, good little way to add some rhythm to something, to the octave. Alright, so that's just this, we're just basically stepping through a range of voltages that have gone through the modulo and a quantizer. And it gives a just a random melody, or not random, but a generated melody. But getting like way more complicated is the matrix mixer. We have several. There's a 4x4, an 8x8, and even a 16 one. And so probably, the easiest is the matrix, the 4x4. Um, and also kind of conversely, the X16 is, it's a lot more hooking up, but it's also pretty easy. But with the, I like the 8 or the 4. I think I will start with, let's just use the 4 because it's simple. And we'll use these meters to kind of look at what's going on. So right now I have I have a range with, it's a 4-channel range of things. And on the meter, it's doing that. And we'll delete that. Duplicate this meter and look at what happens if they go through the matrix with, we need a merge and a split here. Alright, so split, they take the notes that are coming out of my voltage range and split them and put them into the matrix and then merge them back. And then look at that on the meter. With all the knobs at 0, nothing is happening. But so, start turning the knobs, and you can see things, they sort of like, it lets each voltage interact with the other voltages, basically. And so you got randomize here to do that for you. Just Control R. But so we've taken this and turned it into this. So now it's like, and these had some mathematical relationship that was easy to see. It's just like we step up in a linear fashion. That relationship is, well, I mean, it's still there. The relationship is whatever the matrix did to it. But it's not easy to see. It's more, it's becoming more random or chaotic. I mean, it's not random, it's chaotic. So any range we give it is going to behave like the same way. These top 2 move a little, and these bottom 2 move a lot, because I guess that's just how the knobs are. Try a different one and say okay. So the matrix mixer, the same thing applies here with you need to use your modulo, and since you have, and however many channels you're modulating, this math module, you need to use the unison to give you that polyphonic for B. And then you step through, it's the same deal, you're just going to step through some values, but you get more variation in the melody than just always an equal, like a cycle of, I mean, because this wraps around. So I guess, like, theoretically, if you had the right settings on this channels in the modulo, you'd get like cycle of fifths or circle of fourths or fifths, like it's just gonna go through, take the range and do that. With this, it's more like, I mean, a motif. It's a motif generator. So, so what I've been just making, like, sequencing the from and to with some sample and hold. But in this, I'm just going to kind of leave this, and we'll just step through and make chords out of these notes. I'll take this quantizer. I like the dictate quantizer because it has, well, it has a lot of scales. Oh man, I almost crashed. I could easily crash this if I do that. So if you hook it up and you're trying to control the scale or the root, leave the knob turned all the way down and just use whatever you're using. So I've got this on major. I'm going to put this in Phrygian, and it's F, because we got an F going on over here. So F Phrygian, and we'll quantize. Let's get all this out of the way. Put this over there. This, instead of this quantizer, we'll use this quantizer. And, oh wait, no. We'll use this quantizer here. We take the note that comes out. I'm just kind of winging it right now. Okay, so now I'm gonna, first I've quantized onto one scale, which is gonna be, this thing is in C minor, I guess, and then F Phrygian. So that's kind of silly way to do the quantizers, but oh well. But you also, the other nice thing about dictate is you've got the tonic, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th, and you can build a chord out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this back in where it was. Wait. The note. There we go. Oh, I forgot I need to stop at the right time. The matrix thing here. We got the split. Going from the range. I should get these out of the way. I'm going to go usually the range to the matrix. So that's our split. They go into the matrix, they come back, and from the matrix we go to our modulo. So instead of going straight to the modulo, go through the matrix and then modulo, and these are just kind of like these just go with the modulo module. So that little set there, so this is from the matrix, so I'll put that next to there, and then it seems kind of silly to have this quantizer, so I'm going to take that out. And I'll put this after. Where was my out here? Yeah, I need to remember to hook that up. Okay, so I'm going to put the step through the notes thing after the quantizer, because this quantizer is polyphonic. Oh wait, no, that's dumb, because then I don't want to do that to the chord. So I'll just use it. I'll use a different one to build the chord. All right. So we come out the modulo to the quantizer. Now we have some notes that are pushed onto the scale F Phrygian, and we'll come out. We'll step through them with this Ouroboros, and let's test it. And we need to get the bass back. So I like the BSS module for this part here. I'm just gonna hook that up and go to we're not gonna get any movement in the bass with this thing right the way it is. But at least it's in the right key. A key. I don't know if it's the right key. Okay, so yeah, then basically the next addition after I messed with that for a while. I mean, remember this is all based off of taking that P16A from Doc B and then trying to recreate it with a little detour on trying all kinds of trigonometry, and I just experimented with that A0101 a lot, and that was an interesting experiment. But I then I discovered, well, the matrix mixer is kind of more fun because then you can just randomize it. I don't really know what it's doing, but it does something. So you can either sequence from and to. God, I gotta stop it at the right time. Okay, so you can put in you can just use an address sequencer, and we'll put it on 2 steps, and hook the clock up to 16. So the divided by 16, that is every 4 bars, and we'll just we'll pick a random, just set the knobs there, put that on the from. I'll just do like that, and let's see what this does. Alright, intermission. Pad 2 is a really nice. I don't know if you've tried this one. Definitely check it out. It does what it says really well. It looks kind of scary, but all you do is just push that button, and you're good. So, gotta hook up some notes and polyphonic. Like, I'm gonna send it a chord, so I get in the habit of, if I'm doing chord, I just go ahead and grab this poly spread afterwards, because I just like to make sure to sum everything as soon as possible, because otherwise it's extra processing. But so then let's have a filter, something stereo. We either have Stairway or the F35, or the new. My new favorite one is Stereo Font, because this guy lets you smoothly go between low pass, band pass, high pass. So let's do this and build that chord in here. So the notes, we're stepping through. We got these notes. And the reason I can't use this quantizer is because this is already, we got a polyphonic tonic, a polyphonic third, a polyphonic fifth, and that would build a big messy chord. So I'm going to just duplicate that quantizer again, and so we'll take this, which it's not really going to quantize it. It's already So D sharp, etc. But now it's just mono, and I can merge the I'm gonna just do the root, third, fifth. I could stick octave in there and like change the voicing, but so we'll just close. No, instead of close voicing, I think I will. If I said that, I should explain what I mean. So like this would be, let's move the octave down, or let's move the fifth up. So that's like a wide open voicing. But it's still basically root, third, fifth, and let's go to that pad. Where did I put it? Way over here? No, right here. Go into the notes, come out, and instead of going straight to the mixer, I'm going to add some extra reverb with Supercell. And so turn the space up and maybe have either spectral, one of the spectral ones, spectral clouds. So from the filter to the supercell and then to the mixer, all the way up here. So yeah, every time you randomize pad 2, you get a different character. But it says in the manual, don't randomize this a whole bunch. It's a little bit of, I don't know, like, you can watch the processing. There's just a little boost, a little bump in the processing when you randomize it. But, oh, we have a method, huh? I don't know. Anyway, so got a sound. so this is just going to be going all the time unless I add something here. So I'll use some type of envelope generator. How about a function generator? I don't use those much. I'm trying to learn. I mean, I guess I learned what they do. I like this thing. So if we change our chord every one of these clocks, we'll just use that to trigger the function generator. And so this function generator, we have the rise and the fall, and then the amount. Those are the main things. And so we go trigger in here and come out here. So that'll go over here. And we have a manual trigger to kind of like watch. Nothing happens until you turn this up. Let's see, why do I not? Maybe I have to, I'll park this somewhere. Where can I park this right now? Okay. Okay, so that does eventually stop when I'm stopped. That's good. I guess I'll scoot some of this stuff up a little bit closer and do arpeggio stuff, which is sometimes that's where I start. I mean, I like arpeggios, but actually just this stepping through random signals, it's arpeggio-y, or arpeggio-like, harp-like, which is, arpeggio just means like a harp. So Arpeggio like means like a harp, like, um, or like a harp. Uh, right. So uh, the the only one I really have figured out that I like is this one. It's basic. It does what I expect. The one from Bog Audio, your gates have to. The difference between the Bog Audio one and this one is that you need a gap between the gates to get a new note. Like if your notes change, so you have four notes, right? And then they change to four different notes. If you've just got four gates that stay on, you're well here. If you got four gates that stay on, the notes are gonna still be the previous ones because you have to like turn the gate off to let go. And even though the hold, I mean, it says it's got hold, and this guy's got hold. Um, like so, this Bog Audio one is more like if you have a MIDI keyboard and you plug in your keyboard and you want to play an arpeggiator, it's gonna work like you just hook the notes up and then the gates that come with the notes, they're gonna work. It's gonna work great. But this one is more like for sequencing and stuff because if you change the notes, you don't have to let go of the gate and then re-gate. If that makes sense. So okay, let's before we even mess with like what we're actually doing, let's just add a couple things like I like to. So there's one thing I'd like to do, and I think I'm gonna like skip out on it because it gets really tedious trying to explain, and it'll be it'll be kind of an explanation on its own. But so this input here for the pattern is 0 is up, 1 is down. Volts, I'm seeing volts. So 0 volts, 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, 4 volt, 5 volt. And if you want random, that's 6 volts or more. But so I just want the first 5 volts. So any value between 0 and 5. So there's another nice use for that range module. Take the range, and so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So I'll say 6 channels. The highest voltage I want is 5, so 0. Right click the 2 and say 5. And so on a meter, it's going to show me I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 volts, all in a polyphonic signal. And we have this search for rand, Aleph bits, polyrand. Take the polyphonic signal and in the poly input, and then a trigger. A push button. So trigger, and then it will just pick one of those. I could just sample and hold with anything between 1 and 5. It's same deal. But anyway, so like it's kind of a useful little thing to know about the polyrand anyway. So I'm going to hook that up there with will I? No, actually I'm not. I'm not using polyrand. I think I'll use P16 and let me get all this out here. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do how many things I want here. Push button here. Simplex and hold. So if I say I have I'll have 8 things. We step through some random 0 to 5 volt here going into here. So the arpeggio pattern, we're sequencing that with a random arpeggio random pattern, along with sequencing the gates and the notes and stuff. So let's take the notes from either. Okay, so where's our? We can either take the chord notes, which are coming out of here, are usually a good thing to arpeggiate, but if you want extra notes, can concatenate. Like, we could take a melodic. Yeah, we'll just do the chord notes first, and then we'll take a. So that's going to be 3 notes. I just need 3 gates. Quick, easy, random. Like, I'm not going to randomize it. I'm just going to do 3 gates into the gates. And 16th notes. Why not? Into the clock. And oh, I need to drive this with something. So let's do half notes here. And then I'll just use a macro oscillator because I'm lazy. And there we go. So gates to the triggers, volts to the volts, and having a filter might be nice to take a little bit of the high end off. So there's that. And let's give it some reverb, a bunch of reverb and some ping pong. about this divided clock is... No, what's going on? Oh, right. That gotta turn back off. Great. So it's just gonna do that. And that's gonna do that, huh? So it's because it's got these other, like, it's got the clock dividers, and then it's got step through like this. So, like, if I wanna, see, I wanna reset, what I'd like to do is reset this, but not on the one. Like, maybe reset it on a different part of the beat, but still, like, I'll reset it with, say like that, and we'll do, here's our clock. Let's see. Okay, I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking exactly right what I should be doing, but I'll do that, and then gotta reset when there's hi-hats, but I'll screw it. I don't know why. Sometimes this thing just doesn't want to sync up right. There we go. Darn it. I mean, I like what it's doing, but not when it's not. I'm just gonna come up here and just mute that. Okay, so this whole business coming out of the arpeggio, call that one thing. And there's a, to get a little bit more out of one arpeggiator, you can take a slope detector or a comparator. I'm going to use the slope detector and the gate and a sample and hold. And so I'm just going to leave this doing its thing. That it's not bad. But so with this we can get like something for when the melody goes up and something for when the melody goes down. And so let's just have, let's see here. I don't know, do I want to like use a simple oscillator or something easy? Wow, okay, so synth, I'll be lazy and do this guy for one of them. and then maybe not so lazy and set up kind of like a weird. What do we got? What do we got? I like the. I really like the C one called. Where is it? Why am I not seeing it here? SEA. Poly 7Cs. I like the picture. They're both stereo. Look at that. Okay, so this end is where this is what this is about here. So take the note, run into the slope detector, and then you're gonna get gates out here. So one of them goes. I'm gonna put one into the. I'm gonna put the rising into the and the gate that comes out the arpeggiator into the other input of that gate. So we have input A is the gate from the arp, input B is the gate from the slope detector. And so combining them is how you get a trigger for whenever the melody is going up. And only when the melody is going up. And same with the falling. I'm going to do falling into one input, gate into the other, and then take that output so I get a gate whenever the melody is going down and the gate is happening. So the reason I'm putting them in the sample and hold is to just let the melody move when, like otherwise it would just be always moving around. So I'm splitting the melody into a rising part and a falling part. And if I got this rising synth, I don't want it to also be playing the falling part too, just the up. So the melody goes in. So the melody that comes out of the arpeggiator also goes into the sample and hold inputs. So I don't know. Might have to pause that, and I'll make the cables even easier to see. But yeah, so so the melody comes out here and here, and then the gates. This one has a gate input, and that's going to be this here off the AND gate. This guy needs a VCA and a ADSR, so I have somewhere to put a gate. So here's that gate. Alright, so this goes here, and this goes here, and we will have a shorter attack. And so I'll just pick a preset here, brass pad, and I'll take one of those, either a chaotic or just a slow LFO. Let's see here, 2 slow LFOs, and they need to be offset. These offset by 5 volts. It's perfect. So these CVs here, so we need to put somewhere 0 to 10 in here and here, and slow it down a whole bunch. So more like that. And maybe turn swarm on, turn the swarm frequency up, and have a little bit of a filter. How about that guy? Alright, up to the mixer. Wow, it's slowing down. So hopefully I got all that hooked up right. Let's see here. Nope, something's hooked up wrong. What did I do? Oh, when you do this, you're kind of getting very short. These are triggers. So it says gate, but it's very short. It's not enough to hold some envelopes open. So I guess I can just turn this to trigger mode. Still not enough. Like this synth is not getting enough. Let's try gates. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna finish off with showing like let's once you kind of have a bunch of parts and you want to if you want to like bring them in and out with kind of like give it a little bit of structure or arrangement. So you've got the like controlling your mutes or your solos or both. Mutes can have fades. Solos are immediate. So if you want to have gradual fade in, fade out, you're gonna have to use the mutes. And you right click, and you got like if I changes it changes from a M to an F, and so when I click it, it slowly comes in. I don't think that thing's actually making any sound right now. It's just a stuck voltage. But so this one would do. You could tell what this one's doing. And so to sequence that, what I use is I'm gonna build it over here. I'll use a push button to go to the next step, and I'm gonna hook that to the clock of a sequencer. So there's either the we have the Bog Audio has an 8 to 1, and Count Modula has a 16 to 1 somewhere. Let me get that one. I where is it? Switch 16 to 1. It doesn't say it's polyphonic, but it is. And the thing about this one is when it's reset, it's on no step. So it's a little bit kind of annoying that you have a 0 step and then 1 through 16. So when you reset, you end up with like everything muted or nothing muted, and it may not be what you want. So I'm just going to do the 8 to 1 because I really don't have this isn't a song that I want to like do anything with. So the push button is under the clock of that, so I can step through, and then what comes out, like watch what happens if I let's have a polyphonic, either polygate or push from grande. So these both do the same thing. This one has its invert output right there, and otherwise you can use a Logic knot, or you need a polyphonic knot gate. Where is that? And so either way, you can invert it before or you can invert it after. If you're going into the mutes, I believe it's the mutes, then you want to invert. I mean, it just depends on what you want to look at. Like if you see a button, do you want to think that's on, or do you want to think that's off? I mean, in this scenario, I would prefer to think of the buttons as representing what is on. So that's why I have this logic gate here. But so you need to set your mixer up first. Let me unmute everything. So you have a mute solo CV on the menu here. Dang it! I should have done that when We'll just turn these way down. So right click menu somewhere in the empty areas. You have mute solo CV. So that tells whether you send it. By default, it's a trigger. So every time it gets something, it's gonna switch, and you want it to be what's the word? Idempotent. You want it to be like if the gate says on, you want it to be on. So change that to gate high low. And then when we run in here, I didn't hook anything up, so it's really only gonna work on the, it's gonna flip the, well, it didn't. So if I put that here, well, it's not doing anything. Let me give it 8 of these hooked up. 1, did that flip? All right, so yeah, so we flipped that to mute. And that's why the logic gate comes in handy. I want to flip that to not muted and everything else muted. See? So let's I guess it's, so I kind of know what things are what here. We'll say that we start with the pad. I think that's 10, maybe? No, it's 11. 12 and 13. No, it's 10. We'll start with the pad, and then we'll have the kick. And then the pad and the kick and the bass. The pad and the kick and the bass and the hi-hat. And one of these, maybe that one. And then the pad and the kick and the bass and the snare and the, oh, that's not the snare, this is the snare, and this is the hi-hat, so actually that is what I wanted. And that is the, right, okay, so then we got that coming in, and we keep the bass, and we'll have these, this will just go all the way, and maybe the level part where we don't have the pad, but we have everything else. But then, or maybe instead of everything else, just one thing like that, and then we'll have everything, and then we'll end up with kick, bass, and that thing. How about it? Okay, so that's not a lot of planning or thought put into that, but I think might be all right. And the button is, helpful for setting it up. But so now I'm just gonna like hook the button to a divided clock, and we'll say every 4 bars we change what's going on. Oh, no, how about every 8 bars? We'll change what's going on every 8. 4 bars. Let's get it done in a hurry. And right, so now we have these guys are on when they're supposed to be. No, they're on. It's on. Good. Okay, so we'll just turn this back up and turn this back up. And this little fade is happening here. Maybe this, we'll have the kick fade in and out too. Does the kick is off right now? No, it's on. It should be off. Darn it. Is that? Yeah, so I just want to make it match what it says. It says 10 should be off. 10 is on. So let's turn that off. Oh, wait. I'm thinking backwards here. I should only have the kick. And I should only have 10. And everything else is muted or faded correctly. Let's make this a little quicker here. And then press start and see what happens. Okay, so that's not like a very well structured song, and moving through the parts every 4 bars is a little bit fast, but you get the idea. Um, Basically, it's just polyphonic switches. I mean, polyphonic gates going through a polyphonic switch, and if you're using the mutes and you want to see like what you see is what you get here on the switches, then use a not gate to invert your zeros and your tens. All right, so I could keep going. I don't think I should. This is enough. And maybe next time I'm gonna plan out the this arpeggiator thing didn't actually happen as I normally do it. I just sort of did little bits and pieces to try and explain um, what each little section is doing, but like the slope detector part, or the matrix part, or the math modulo, or the ranges. Where is the? I'm not even doing. Yeah. Um. But yeah. Uh. I'm sure that's probably enough to inspire some interesting compositions, and maybe next time we'll have more. Happy racking.